We are now at the midpoint of this NBA season, and let's just say there's been many cases of surprises and disappointments. Many teams have been battered by the COVID bug, some teams curved it, but if one thing's for sure, it's been a very wild ride. But before we get into it, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell down below, and if you don't, just leave.
Get the f out of here!
The Atlanta Hawks. See, after underdogging their way through to the Eastern Conference Finals, you'd think that they'd build on their success this year, right? Well, unfortunately, the Hawks have been a victim of the COVID protocol, not to mention the injury bug as well. As of this writing, 13 of their guys are currently out on the injury reserve, including the likes of Trae Young and John Collins, in addition to many other key role players. While Atlanta ranks second in offensive rating even with their stars out due to their success shooting the ball behind the arc, it is their inconsistent and miscommunicated defense that has faltered them throughout the season. Overall, it's hard to really evaluate where the team stands when healthy, which is why they earned a C. Yo, Boston Celtics.
Go Harden.
C. Boston is barely floating around the 500 mark, and that can be attributed to their poor efforts in closing out games late, sitting at 6-12 in games where the score was within 5 during the final 5 minutes. Both Jalen and Jason have taken slight dips in their efficiency numbers, and it seems that the lack of a true experienced point guard is hurting them. What this team desperately needs to beef up their roster is an acquisition of a high-impact talent that complements their core before the trade deadline. But that may be tough to do while trying to avoid the tax to keep flexibility in the offseason. It's only a matter of time before we see if this team can really get it done, unless they crumble. The Brooklyn Nets. A. Even with Mr. Enlightened Woke Dude nowhere to be seen and James Harden slow to return back to form, Kevin Durant has looked like the best player in the world. No need to elaborate on that. Even when getting hit with health and safety protocol cases left and right forcing guys in and out of the lineup, the rest of the Nets are still holding it down. Patty Mills is red hot from outside, the team places top 5 in defensive and limiting opponent effective field goal percentage, and overall this team is outperforming all of their obstacles. A. The Charlotte Hornets. Ow! B. While the Hornets offer one of the most attractive brands of basketball on the offensive side of the court, sitting top 3 in both offensive rating and pace, it's their defense that stings the bee. They rank dead last in both defensive rating and opponent points allowed, which is caused by their lack of both rim protection and perimeter protection. Overall, Charlotte's personnel isn't exactly the epitome of a great defensive team, and while the addition of Kelly Oubre was thought to alleviate some of the flaws, it seems that he is offloaded on the offensive end. While they certainly won't do much more than a playoff appearance this season, they are on the right track to starting the new era of Charlotte basketball. The Chicago Bulls. A+. Heading into the season, anyone with a functioning brain, media, knew that DeMar DeRozan would alleviate the Bulls to a much greater position. How great they actually became completely outperformed everyone's expectations. Zach and DeMar look like a dream pairing on the offensive end, and Alonzo Ball the Eagle duo are locking offensive guys up. While the likes of Caruso, Kobe White, Derrick Jones, and the hometown rookie Al Dosunmu are providing great firepower off the bench, it isn't enough as they rank 29th in bench scoring and should certainly look for one more piece to solidify their bench before the postseason. The Cleveland Cavaliers. A+. Heading into the season, and honestly every season after LeBron skipped town for LA, the Cavaliers were set with very low expectations, and that was supposed to continue into this year as well. However, the addition of Evan Mobley and the continued breakout of Darius Garland have proven everyone wrong. The defensive front court of Jair and Evan have led the Cavs to the second best defensive rating in the league, as Mobley leads the league in contested shots per contest, and Allen's making case for an all-star appearance. The addition of Ricky Rubio provides not only backup playmaking, but an additional veteran presence in the locker room, as the Cavs look to make the playoffs without LeBron for the first time since 1998. The Dallas Mavericks. C+. The Mavs are a tough case to grade. You can't really see this team at its best when half of their rotational players have been rotting away in COVID protocol through these last few weeks. When the team was healthier early in the season, they were floating at the 3rd seed because they were beating the teams that they were supposed to beat, but losing games against better teams. Dallas desperately misses Luka Doncic. Porzingis has shown the second star flashes that they've wanted. Their so-called shooters, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Reggie Bullock, are in a big slump, and it looks like they're a waste of cap space so far. And Dorian Finney-Smith is the only consistent three-point shot, honestly. While Jason Kidd has enforced a more efforted defense, their offensive rating has plummeted from last year, all the way from top 10 to bottom 10. The only reason they are C+ and not lower is because they've shown that they can hang around in games even with a depleted roster due to the breakout of Jalen Brunson, who they definitely need to pay this offseason. Denver Nuggets. B. Nikola Jokic is the only thing holding this team together. His stats are either similar or better than those from his MVP campaign last year, and if taken literally, is the league's most valuable player for his team. Without Jamal Murray and MPJ, the Nuggets have dropped from a 5-year streak of ranking top 7 in offensive rating to only 16th this season. Their best hope is to stay consistent until the rest of their firepower can return from injury or COVID, and hopefully by the playoffs Jamal can return and push Denver back up into contender status. Detroit basketball. D+. Being this far into the season and having only a single-digit amount of wins doesn't really warrant much praise for the bad boys. Being in or near the bottom 10 in almost every advanced statistic also doesn't provide them with much reason for praise. The only bright spot of their season is drafting Cade Cunningham, so Detroit should look to keep building around the core of Cade, Sadiq, and Beef Stew while also trading Jeremy for future draft assets to hopefully be contenders in the future. Hopefully this summer the lottery gods can bless them again with a top pick so they can take Paolo or Jabari Smith. The
Golden State Warriors.
A+. Standing atop of the league are the Golden State Warriors, who've quickly returned to contender status. With Steph Curry leading the MVP discussion and Donkey Green leading the Defensive Player of the Year talks, it's no surprise that Golden State is back in this position. Not only are their old core back in form, but their youngins have been contributing equally as well. Jordan Poole is breaking out, Gary Payton II continues to improve his three-point shooting every game, and Andrew Wiggins is shooting the hell out of the rock. Otto Porter showed that he can lead the team in clutch situations as they outran the Suns on Christmas Day. Bielitsa is having a mini revival of his career as well. Honestly, I could go on about the rest of the boys like Kuminga, JTA, Moody, etc., but that literally will take up the rest of this video. They lead the league in defensive rating while ranking 4th on offense. And just wait till Klay comes back. Houston Rockets. D+. Like the Pistons, the priority of the Rockets this season is to develop all of their young guys. While Houston is nothing but bad this year, they did give us something exciting when they went on a 7-game winning streak after losing 15 straight before, though that was when Jalen was out for injury. On both sides of the floor, they struggle. They are bottom 5 in league offense, and they are the team that turns the ball over the most. While their offense is bad, their defense is worse. Per 100 possessions, they allow the second most points, which places them as the second worst defense in the league. Overall, this team does have a bright future, so I'll be looking forward to seeing them develop, especially guys like KPJ, Alperen Sengun, and many more. I can't wait to see when this team returns back to contention in a few years, but as of right now, they are pretty bad. The Indiana Pacers. F. Everything was supposed to change when they brought back Rick Carlisle. They were supposed to get back into the playoff race and then probably get bounced in the first round again. Look, the Pacers are stuck in no man's land. Their management has had a reputation of being fine with just being okay. They don't care if they're able to compete for a championship or if they should rebuild. It's time, Indiana. I'm sure every team would love to have one of your players, as each one is good enough to be a contributing player on their team. But Pacers fans will tell you to wait until the team gets healthy, but that's exactly the problem. Every year someone is injured and we can never see them at their best. Just develop Duarte, keep Karras, and trade everyone else. It's time for a rebuild. The Los Angeles Clippers. B-. The Clips are another team that have struggled with keeping their players healthy. Paul George is out for the next month, Reggie Jackson remains in health and safety protocol, and Marcus Morris is just being cleared to come back. During that time, Ty Lue has done well with extracting the talent out of every remaining player, and that has kept them afloat above 500. The offense could use some work, as the Clips rank in the bottom 10 in ball and player movement as well as assist percentage, and tend to rely heavily on ISOs. However, they have countered that with a top 5 defense, which keeps them above average for a grade of B-. Heading into the season, we all knew that this was a lost season for the Clippers, as Kawhi Leonard is out with an ACL injury. We knew that Paul George would try to have an MVP caliber year, but yeah, this team won't get far at all. The Los Angeles Lakers. D. This team has so many problems. LeBron is 37 years old and still has to carry a team on every aspect of the floor. Anthony Davis is made out of glass and seems to get injured every other game, and in fact is out for the next month. Even when he was playing, he wasn't the dominating guy that everyone thought he would be. You know, the guy that Braun said was his team now as he would coast through the rest of his career, but instead he's shooting 19.2% from 3. Yikes. Russell Westbrook was brought in to give LeBron someone that can will the team to some wins, but in most cases is the reason that they're losing games in the clutch.
James will bring it up. The season high 39 for James here tonight. The hesitation, the drive. Pass deflected out to Westbrook. Westbrook tried to jam it. He missed it.
The rest of the roster is not much better, as they are the oldest team in the league, and with an inconsistent lineup due to injury and COVID protocol, that has caused them to drop down from the best defensive rating in the league last season just to an average defensive rating this season. In addition, the rest of the guys seem to not give a f***, as on many plays they don't show any effort. While the players average the highest amount of points in clutch time, this is usually because they have to climb their way back into games, ones where they should have been winning from the start. From this point on, the Lakers have the hardest schedule in the league, so they better turn it up before it gets too late. The Memphis Grizzlies, A-. Ja Morant is breaking out as an all-star player. In every stat he is averaging a career high and can punish defenders from all parts of the court. We knew that he could get to the basket, but now he can shoot reliably from behind the arc. He can find open guys with his improved playmaking and overall is becoming the player that we thought he would be. Even when Ja was out for a few games, the Grizz went on a 5-game win streak and it was like he never even left. The Grizzlies are one of the top teams in the clutch, and that has allowed them to become the 4th seed in the West. In addition to Ja, Desmond Bane has stepped up in the absence of Dillon Brooks and has nearly doubled his scoring averages from 9 to 17 points. He is their X factor who can shoot the ball at will and defend guys on the other side of the court, and is definitely a great part of their success. Brooks is still their haggling defender that every team wants, and while he shoots questionable shots sometimes, he can make them when it matters the most. While Jaren is still trying to find his rhythm, he's contributing as he's averaging 16 points and is a great rim protector. D'Anthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, Tyus Jones, John Conchar, and etc. should not go unmentioned, as it seems that everyone on the roster does a little bit of everything in order to win, and they all understand their roles. Overall, this Grizzlies team is a physical team that will make it hard for you to score while they rain shots in on the other end. So that is all for part 1 of grading every NBA team season so far, as we highlighted the first 15 teams in alphabetical order. Part 2 should be coming out very soon, so make sure you hit that notification bell and subscribe button down below to get notified when that video comes out. My name is MK, have a great rest of your day, and peace!